Interleukin-6, also called IL-6, is an important cytokine, or signaling molecule, involved in the immune response. IL-6 regulates processes like fever, vasodilation, and leukocyte extravasation, and is implicated in the pathogenesis of diseases like giant cell arteritis. In this mnemonic, I'll cover all the important functions of IL-6. First, take a look at me here. I'm warming up after a hard day of hunting by throwing sticks into the fire. Notice specifically how these sticks appear to be interlocking. Interlocking objects are our recurring symbol for interleukins, a type of signaling molecule. And since sticks are our recurring rhyme for the number 6, these interlocking sticks mean that we're talking about interleukin 6. Get it? Interlocking sticks for interleukin 6. Next, take a look at those cages next to me. As a hunter, I use these cages to trap things for a living. By the way, these cages should remind you of macrophages, since cages are our recurring symbol for macrophages. Get it? A cage for macrophage, or macrocage. IL-6 is secreted by macrophages and plays a major role in the innate immune response. Let's move on to learn more about the exact functions of IL-6. Let's come back to me here throwing sticks into the fire. As I throw these interlocking sticks into the fire, we can see the flames growing in intensity. These growing flames should help you remember that IL-6 contributes to inflammation. You know, since flames are our recurring symbol for inflammation, and you bet the interlocking sticks here are making the inflammation bigger. For context, inflammation describes the constellation of heat, pain, redness, and swelling, which is mediated by the innate immune system. Inflammation has two main functions: to make the body less friendly to invaders like bacteria, and secondly, to bring immune cells to the infected area to fight the pathogen. IL-6, along with interleukin-1 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, play a key role in making inflammation happen. Let's break down the different ways IL-6 contributes to inflammation. First, IL-6 causes vasodilation, increasing blood flow to affected tissues. This leads to the redness and warmth in inflammation. IL-6 also increases capillary permeability, which allows water, signaling molecules, and white blood cells to move from the blood vessels into affected tissues. These can contribute to the pain and swelling seen in inflammation. Lastly, IL-6 increases activation of the endothelium to express adhesion molecules, which allows white blood cells to bind to the endothelium, a crucial step in their eventual migration out of the vessel to the target tissue. Collectively, all three of these effects help white blood cells enter sites of inflammation, which obviously works to protect us from infection. Next, let's take a look at our hunter again. Since he's been next to the fire for a while, he's feeling warm and starting to sweat. All this sweating and warmth should remind you that IL-6 causes fever. You know, since fever is just an elevation in body temperature. IL-6 is a pyrogen, which is just a fancy way of saying that it causes fever. IL-6 travels to the brain, where it enters cells and leads to the production of PGE2. PGE2 then travels to the anterior hypothalamus, where it increases our body's set point for temperature, causing fever. This is a lot of detail, so just remember that IL-6 causes fever, and you'll be set for test day. Finally, let's take a look at that giant stone head in the back. Hunters and trappers work in the wild, just the place where you might expect to find ancient statues of giant heads. By the way, this giant head is our symbol for giant cell arteritis, also called temporal arteritis. Giant cell arteritis is a large vessel vasculitis that primarily affects branches of the internal and external carotid arteries. The giant head is in this scene because IL-6 plays an important role in the pathogenesis of giant cell arteritis. In fact, IL-6 is actually so critical that antibodies targeting the IL-6 signaling can actually be used to treat giant cell arteritis. Just make sure you remember the link between IL-6 and giant cell arteritis for test day. Alright, that's it for IL-6. Let's summarize. Interleukin-6, or IL-6 for short, is a cytokine primarily produced by macrophages. IL 6 plays a major role in acute inflammation. IL 6 also acts indirectly on the hypothalamus to cause fever. Lastly, IL 6 plays an important role in the pathogenesis of giant cell arteritis. And that's it for IL 6. On to the next one.